And what happened then? Well, on Endor, they say that Darth Vader's small heart grew 3 sizes that day, and he threw the Bad Emperor down into the pit, and Leia and Solo saw that they were a fit. And they all lived happily ever after, right? And they all lived happily ever after, right? Welcome to another episode of Daniel Reviews. With Kathleen Kennedy's retirement, what better time to take a look back on her distinguished career and review the Disney Star Wars movies. With Rogue One good and done, the next one on our agenda is Episode 7, The Force Awakens. I'll never forget the months of anticipation culminating in opening night at Studio Movie Grill. The title, Star Wars, flying onto the screen and vanishing into the distance as the opening crawl began and instantly created some questions. Like, why does the Resistance call itself the Resistance if it's supported by the Republic? Isn't the New Republic the official government now? Wouldn't that make the Resistance just the military? I know they're resisting the First Order, but the First Order is just a faction trying to overthrow the government. It's not the government itself. By calling itself the Resistance, it's positioning the First Order as the default authority. Kind of a strange thing to do when it's not. We start on planet Jakku. Don't even get me started on what my dirty mind does with that name. Where trigger-happy flyboy Poe Dameron and his droid BB-8 are tasked with delivering this thumb drive to General Leia. These movies are very insistent on you calling her that, despite the fact that it's a demotion. We also meet FN 2187, later known as Finn. Finn is a sanitation worker who is also tasked with information recovery and the slaughter of an entire village. Wow, being a janitor is harder than I thought. If you think I'm kidding, no, he tells us that.
What was your job when you were based here?
Sanitation.
Finn is, at the same time, the best and worst character in the trilogy. On the one hand, he has the most emotionally engaging story. He's a deserter who knows exactly what's going to happen to him if he gets caught. He has a clear goal: get away from the First Order. He has obstacles to that goal. The First Order is looking for him. The only people willing to help him are people who he's lying to. He has stakes. If the First Order finds him, they will kill him. That being said, despite this being progressive Disney, he is pretty much a black stereotype. Think about it. He's scared of everything. He's always shouting. He's not very bright.
The one I'm pointing to? No.
He's overexcitable, and let's face it, justification aside, he's basically stealing a car here. For a non-stereotypical black character, let's look at Lando Calrissian.
Welcome, Leia.
See? Lando's not a stereotype. Leia is not fat. To be clear, I'm not saying Disney Star Wars is racist. I'm just saying I think they could put a little more thought into character development. We now find out that the thumb drive BB-8 is carrying contains a piece of a map to Luke Skywalker. That's right, a map. To a person. Because as we all know, people don't move. Especially not people with spaceships capable of light speed. A more perplexing question is, who made the map? Not Luke. He doesn't want to be found. Not the First Order. They'd have him by now. Not the Resistance. They need the map. So who made the map? Somebody pitched that idea in a writer's room, and somebody else said, good idea! This same map to a person thing comes up again in an episode of The Mandalorian. Lucasfilm, I am very disappointed in you. After all that, we meet our primary protagonist, Rey. Rey's goal is to stay alive until her family comes back. The problem with Rey is not that she's overpowered. That could have been used to great narrative effect. It's not that she's a Mary Sue, it's not that she overcomes her obstacles too easily. It's that she never has a clearly defined goal, which means two things. One, she has no framework for obstacles to even exist in. Two, she's rarely a driving force in the story because she's not trying to get anything. Instead, the story is happening to her. She winds up with Finn because BB-8 points him out. She meets Han Solo because of astonishing coincidence. She winds up on Starkiller Base, not because she goes there to fight somebody, but because she gets captured. She's not causing things to happen. They're happening to her. Is her speeder hovering in park? Star Wars has never been about scientific accuracy. I mean, if you want to be strict, I wouldn't even categorize it as science fiction. I would call it a fantasy. What matters is that things make sense in universe. We don't see this kind of technology anywhere else in Star Wars, even in things where it would be more useful. Look at the Millennium Falcon, lands on struts. Look at X-Wings, lands on struts. TIE fighters and Kylo Ren's ship land on wings. That function is, you guessed it, struts. Someone like Rey, living in the ruins of an AT-AT on a desert planet where she trades scraps for food, would not have access to technology like this. Even worse, there is no narrative reason that her speeder needs to function like this. It's just someone said, hey, wouldn't this be cool?
That's just Tito. Wants you for parts. He's no respect for anyone.
I can tell Tito is going to be an important character. Just kidding. We never see him again.
Why are you helping me?
Why do you care why he's helping you? You're getting out of there.
Is this the right thing to do? You need a pilot. I need a pilot.
Hence begins everyone's favorite comedy duo, Finn and Poe. Poe is a resistance fighter with a strong moral core who values honesty and straightforwardness. Finn is a self-interested deserter willing to lie, cheat, and steal to get his way. Put these two opposites together and...
we're gonna do this. Yeah?
they're immediate friends. Look, this is a fine place for Finn's character arc to start. In fact, it makes perfect sense. But there should be more tension here. Yes, Finn is helping Poe, but it's only for selfish reasons. The right move here is for Poe to treat Finn with suspicion until Finn has proven that he's interested in something other than saving his own ass. Instead, Poe decides that Finn is the greatest thing since blue milk and even gives him the name Finn after hearing his somewhat less snazzy name of FN2187. I understand calling stormtroopers by alphanumeric codes is dehumanizing and it's a symbol of the military-industrial complex and blah blah blah, but are you really telling me that that is easier to remember than names?
FN2187.
And 2187? How many FNs are there, and what did Captain Phasma do to get put in charge of the FN squad? She has got to be the joke of Starkiller Base. We'll be right back after this message from Steve's Trading Post. We've all been there. The big pod race is tomorrow, and your pod is slipshod. At times like these, you need Steve's Trading Post. They'll flush your radiator, check your fluids, and even give you a tune-up while you shop their selection of kyber crystal jewelry and maybe even find your new favorite decoration, be it a mounted bantha head or a smuggler frozen in carbonite. And they're not all that close to a radium mine. Cut to the jingle.
Have you heard the good news? There's a trading post named Steve's, and it's only slightly radioactive. We have pottery and cheese, car parts and antifreeze, and our prices are competitive. Have you heard the good news? There's a trading post named Steve's, and it's only slightly radioactive. Get your oil changed, get some shoes, get a nice turquoise vase, and it's only slightly radioactive. Steve's Trading Post, only slightly radioactive. Get out of here!
Welcome back to Escape from Starkiller. In our last episode, our heroes Finn and Poe stole a TIE fighter and crash-landed on the desert world of Jakku. And now, the exciting conclusion. Finn examines the wreckage and I guess figures Poe just disintegrated and that his jacket is up for grabs. Well, guess he won't be needing this. I can't even. Finn sees Rey getting attacked by some not too good guys, so he decides to help her out. And together, they fight off her attackers, and so begins a friendship for the Or Rey fights them off by herself and then chases down Finn with a stick because BB-8 recognizes Poe's jacket. Poe being the only person in the entire galaxy with a jacket like that. So Rey easily takes down a man with military training and forces him to give exposition the audience already knows.
Belonged to Poe Dameron.
He was captured by the First Order. I helped him escape, but her ship crashed.
Everybody got that?
Finn tells Rey that he's with the Resistance. We see that Rey's set of superpowers does not include bullshit detector, and off they go into the wild black yonder, only to immediately get captured by Han Solo and Chewbacca. Spontaneous combustion, getting hit by lightning, getting transformed into a newt and getting better. Whatever your standard for low odds is, this is the new winner. I could go on all day about the role coincidence plays in this plot, so I hope you've got some time. Take two. I'd rather talk about Han Solo, or what passes for Han Solo in this movie. It's true that even at his best, Han Solo has some unsavory qualities. He's rude, he's cynical, he's unfiltered, but at some point he got this reputation of being an untrustworthy swindler. I don't understand that. Dishonesty was never one of his flaws. Even in his conversation with Greedo, he tells the truth. I mean, he kills him, but he doesn't lie to him. If anything, he's honest to a fault. Other characters get pissed at him for saying what he thinks.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
You don't believe in the Force, do you?
That's why it's weirdly out of character when these two gangs invade Han's ship and he tries to lie his way out of trouble. Even worse, this scene doesn't even need to be in the movie. Yes, it ends with one gang leader informing the First Order, but another side character does that later in the movie. This is a rough draft mistake. Meanwhile, on the dark side of the Force, this is the sequel trilogy's primary villain, Kylo Ren. Even the most ardent defenders of Disney Star Wars hate Kylo Ren. So much so that his name became a slur for anyone who dares to criticize Disney Star Wars. Yes, I know what I'm setting myself up for. But here's the thing. After Finn's character arc, Kylo Ren is this movie's greatest strength. What many see as a whiny emo brat, I see as a deeply conflicted man who may have something redeemable in him. He's often been criticized for losing control of his emotions and lashing out physically, as opposed to Darth Vader, who for the most part keeps control even when he's force choking somebody. Many have compared Kylo to a toddler throwing a temper tantrum, and I think that makes him less scary as a villain. I beg to differ. Toddler temperament in a grown man's body is something to be feared. It's a hallmark of many notorious serial killers. At least Vader's targeted violence only affects the person he intends to hurt. Kylo Ren's directionless rage is a threat to everyone around him. I'm not saying Kylo is better than Vader, but they are both dangerous people. This is General Hux. He yells a lot and blows things up. That's it. Which finally brings us to the Emperor Palpatine of this trilogy, Supreme Leader Snoke. I'm going movie by movie here, don't get ahead of me. Snoke is what happens when you cross a Cabbage Patch Kid with a punctured basketball. He's kind of scary, I guess, but he sucks at establishing a command hierarchy. He's got the two main villains, Kylo Ren and General Hux, apparently at the same level of authority, leaving them with no real decision-making structure. So that's two people who don't like each other and rarely agree on anything, working side by side with neither in charge of the other. First Order, more like Worst Order. At the end of this conversation, we get a piece of exposition delivered at the most emotionally flat time for it to be given.
This is the spoiler zone. We're giving the call. This is the spoiler zone. We're ruining it all. If you don't want to know what'll happen, skip to the next chapter by tapping the fast forward button. It's located down below.
In the hands of your father.
Who's the father? I bet it's Finn.
Han Solo.
Oh, man. I guess Finn is a little bit too young. To make it worse, This same information is delivered later in the movie at a much more emotionally impactful time, but it's rendered impotent by the fact that it's already been revealed and discussed. Han gets the idea that Finn isn't exactly being honest with Rey, so he tells him,
Women always figure out the truth. Always.
That's cute. Usually a line like this would function to raise the stakes, reminding the audience that the line is going to be revealed at some point. In this case, Rey doesn't figure out the truth. The only one who does is Han. Instead, Finn comes right out and tells Rey the truth.
I'm a stormtrooper.
So the line serves no purpose. And even when he does, she doesn't care. There's no loss of trust, no rising tension, just...
Don't go.
What does this guy have to do to get somebody mad at him? For a good example of this trope, look no further than the 1986 movie Three Amigos is the story of three silent film stars in the early days of Hollywood who get a little too big for their pantalones and lose their jobs over it. As fate would have it, they receive a letter from a small Mexican village at just the right moment, pleading with them to save their village from the evil El Guapo and his gang. They're the kinds of people who
raped the horses
and
rode off on the women.
Believing this to be a movie offer, they answer the call.
100,000 pesos to do a personal appearance with this guy El Guapo, who is probably the biggest actor to ever come out of Mexico.
Only to realize at exactly the wrong moment, it's all real. Ending in El Guapo leading the worst raid against the village yet, and the Amigos departing in shame. But it's Martin Short to the rescue as he tells his co-stars, we can be heroes, just for one day. Everybody gets really confused as David Bowie hasn't been born yet, but in the end they agree and they return with a plan to save the village. Imagine that happening in this trilogy. I'm thinking, end of episode 8. A battle is raging against the First Order, and when the chips are down, Finn runs and hides. The Resistance loses the battle. Rey confronts Finn about it afterward, and the truth comes out, cementing a major plot point in a 3-movie arc for Finn. Imagine how much more emotionally engaging that would have been. No such luck. It's over, Finn! I have the high ground! Han takes Finn and Rey to the Mos Eisley Cantina. The Mos Eisley Cantina. Maz Kanata's Wild West Saloon. Mazio's Pizza. Maz Kanata's Castle. That's right. The most boring name is the correct one. Rey goes snooping around and finds a familiar artifact. Oh, it's a lightsaber, never mind. And we learn that lightsabers can do things they could never do before, like store memories and put those memories into a person's head. I swear, it's like the script was written by Tommy Wiseau. Plot points keep getting brought up and then forgotten about. Think about it. Rey's fighting prowess, C-3PO's red arm, the stuff with the lightsaber, Poe's mother-in-law's breast cancer. None of it important to the plot. Is plot cancer a thing? Finn finds some nice men to help him escape. One customer contacts the Resistance and another contacts the First Order, and the First Order gets there first. You call yourself the First Order, you've got to be expedient.
The droid was spotted heading west with a girl.
Of course, with the girl. These droids are such cads. Finn decides he'll stay after all.
Where's Rey?
El Guapo has taken her too.
And the Resistance shows up and saves the day. Finn cheers right up because even though he's lost his Rey, he's got his Poe back.
That's my jacket. Oh. No. Keep it suits you.
We also see the reunion of Han and Leia, who didn't get their happy ending after all. Great. Back at Starkiller Base, we get a first-hand look at the Huck's capacity for evil when... well, just watch. This is why solar power is bad. Hope there were no inhabited planets orbiting that star, because the death toll we're looking at here could be in the hundreds of billions.
This was the Death Star. This is Starkiller Base.
The Death Star had a small, hard-to-hit spot that would blow the whole thing up. Starkiller Base has a large, easy-to-hit spot that'll blow the whole thing up. They get stupider every time they build one of these things. At what point do they learn from their mistakes? The Resistance sends Han, Finn, and Chewie to rescue Rey and shut down the shield protecting Starkiller Base because they figure, Finn being a former stormtrooper, he'll definitely know how to do all of that. The plan is to attack the thermal vent once the shield is down. Never mind that this plan does not take anyone's safety into account, and it doesn't consider the consequences of blowing up something that is holding the energy of an entire star. Yeah, everyone involved in this is dying, even by Star Wars science. But hey, it gives us this now classic Solo line.
That's not how the Force works.
Which brings up an interesting question. How does the Force work? Star Wars has never really been clear about that. Across movies and TV shows, it never explains why characters can use the Force in some situations and not in others. It seems to work according to narrative convenience. In the original trilogy, it wasn't a big deal because there were very few people who could use the Force and at different levels of mastery. But as the number of Force users increased and mastery evened out across characters, it became a problem. As an example, here's Rey using the Jedi mind trick because they've got to get her out of this somehow.
You will remove these restraints and leave this cell with the door open.
I will remove these restraints and leave the cell with the door open. And I'll drop my weapon.
I know they wanted her to save herself, but that requires the First Order to make some dumbass choices. Why would they put a guard inside her cell after she's demonstrated Force sensitivity? What if she had ordered him to kill as many stormtroopers as possible? When she's capable of mind control with no consequence to herself, the First Order ceases to be a credible threat. For a good example of how to do this, we turn to Andy McGee from the Stephen King novel Firestarter. That's right, an actual prop instead of a graphic. We're upping our game. Andy also has the power to make people do whatever he wants them to do. But every time he does, he gets a debilitating headache, forcing him to seek other solutions. But again,
that's not how the Force works.
Leaving us to wonder, why doesn't Rey just Jedi mind trick every stormtrooper she sees? And if she can do the Jedi mind trick, she can use the Force to undo the restraints and open the door. That would make a lot more sense than posting a guard inside her cell, but that wouldn't have been nearly as funny. And we wouldn't want to have a Star Wars that wasn't hilarious. Fucking shit.
It's carrying a section of a navigational chart, but we need the last piece.
This is the opposite of an interrogation. While we're on Starkiller Base, Han comes face to face with Kylo Ren, and we're told yet again that Kylo is Han's son.
What do you think you'll see if I do?
The face of my son.
I knew that before I saw the movie because a friend of mine spoiled it on Facebook. I will never forgive you for that, Dylan. Remember earlier when I said there was a better time to reveal that information? I meant now. It would have been so much more of a gut punch if the first we ever heard of it was Han saying,
"The face of my son."
It also would have been the organic way to do it, as Snoke's line was clearly for the audience's sake. Kylo knows who his father is. We also see Finn finally deciding to fight the First Order instead of running from them. Here we are, the final showdown between the Loyalist and the Defector, and Rey. This brings us back to why Finn should have been the protagonist. There's history here. There's bad blood. There are personal stakes. Kylo and Rey are on opposite sides, but there's no shared history. The only reason he's interested in her at all is that she can give him BB-8. So we end the movie with Rey beating Kylo, Finn in a coma, and the apocalyptic superweapon being destroyed. At least, that's where it feels like it should end, but in true Disney fashion, it just keeps going, taking us right up to the point where Rey follows the map right to where Luke Skywalker happens to be standing. Does he have some kind of tracker implanted in him? I could keep picking this apart. Believe it or not, I'm actually pulling punches, but I can't honestly say I don't like it. It was the first time since Jedi that Star Wars actually felt like Star Wars. Many have complained that it's a beat-for-beat remake of the original. And while they're not wrong, it's hardly the first movie to do that. Every movie on screen right now is, at its heart, the same story as the first one. And these are all part 2. The fact that Star Wars waited until part 7 to repeat a plot actually speaks to its credit. Above all, My complaint is that it wrapped up too many things that should have been saved for later installments and left me wondering where the story could go after they've destroyed an apocalyptic superweapon capable of taking out entire solar systems. The answer is an even worse superweapon, but that's a story for another day. Thank you for joining me. If you like what you've seen, please give us a like, subscribe if you haven't, and please consider supporting our Patreon. We offer a range of benefits, including behind-the-scenes access to full riff tracks of some of the movies we do. Your help can go a long way. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. In our last episode, our heroes Finn and Poe stole a TIE fighter.